And I think that Cobweb was probably about the most experimental, outside of perhaps Promethea. I think that Cobweb was about the most experimental and perhaps the most flexible of all of the ABC strips. We had a lot of fun with that, even if we did get continually censored by the thieving robber barons at DC Comics. Sort of, you know, there was the collage episode that Melinda did, which we had to cover up with butterflies, which I thought was quite ironic, because that was, of course, what they put upon Jacob Epstein's statue of Oscar Wilde.
Right, okay.
They placed a butterfly over the genitalia, which Aleister Crowley later stole and turned up, I think, at the Savoy or somewhere, with a cloak on, which when he removed it, he was naked apart from
that butterfly.
This butterfly. And this was at the moment when one of the women dancing there remarked, said to her partner, "Who's that man?" And her partner said, "Oh, that's Mr. Crowley. I expect he's being invisible."
Well, and now, I mean, the statue of Oscar Wilde outside Charing Cross Station, people keep on stealing his cigarette. I mean, I don't know what that says about our times.
Well, yeah, I remember that there was somebody who actually protested against that because of the inscription that some of us are lying in the gutters. Some of us we're all lying in the gutters, but some of us are looking at the stars. And there was this somebody
particularly out for today's, you know, celebrity obsessed culture.
Well, yeah, and they were saying, well, actually that's not very nice, because like some people actually are lying in the gutters, which I think they'd understood Oscar perhaps a little too quickly, you know. But yeah, Cobweb was a great strip. We both enjoyed doing that, you know. And it was at the point where Oscar Zarate said, "Look, you better get back to Lost Girls. That's more important."
Yeah.
That
having
Melinda,
too much fun.
Yeah. So that Melinda decided to get back and finish up Lost Girls, and we handed over Cobweb to, you know, people like Dan Darcy, who did a fantastic job on it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's interesting, some of the kind of suggestive black and white art that Melinda did for Cobweb is not dissimilar to the Venus and Tannhauser section in Lost Girls. Almost like that was her first pastiche, so she was still kind of experimenting with it.
Yeah, that's possible. You know, I mean, like that was her first pastiche, and probably, I wouldn't want to say it was the easiest, but it was certainly nowhere near as demanding as the Franz von Bayros stuff at the end, which nearly drove her completely mental. Just all of those delicate lace effects and sort of the ornament and decoration everywhere. You know, no, I thought that she'd done a sterling job. I mean, that was why I decided to include the White Book, because I wanted to actually show how good Melinda was at mimicking other artists' styles, you know. Egon Schiele was, I wanted to give her a chance to show off a bit, because I didn't think that the black and white books that she'd mostly been in had really done her justice at all, you know.
When it came to the various artists that she was going to homage in the book, did you have a short list that she picked and chose from, or did you definitely know which ones you wanted?
Well, we went through, and there were people that we originally planned to use. I think for the final one, which we decided to go with anonymous, because we thought, well, yeah, he deserves a mention. She deserves a mention. But we were originally going to use Felicien Rops and illustrating poetry by Baudelaire.
Okay.
And Melinda did a couple of great illustrations in the Rups style, but they were, if you're going to do Rups, it has to be kind of rabidly anti-clerical. Fairly rabidly anti-clerical, but that wasn't what Lost Girls was about. And at that particular juncture of the narrative in the last book, I thought it would have been a distraction.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't have served any purpose. And Baudelaire's writing, I don't even know whether I could have written like Baudelaire. You know, I mean, Oscar Wilde was difficult enough. You know, that was a nightmare. He was such a smart bastard that every sentence is a beautifully turned epigram.
Yeah.
You know, even if he's just going down the shops of 20 Rothmans to replace the ones that have been stolen from the figures of his statue. You know.
I mean, it's interesting as well because both with Lost Girls and the Black Dossier, you're pastiching various other writer styles as well as asking the artist to do that on your behalf. I mean, how much of a challenge was that, other than, you know, Oscar?
Well, I like doing it. I like showing off. I mean, and a lot of the bits in Lost Girls, they vary. They vary in how successful I think I was.
Okay.
You know, I think I was okay with the Oscar Wilde. The Guillaume Apollinaire, it doesn't actually read much like Guillaume Apollinaire. You know, Pierre Louis, I toned it down because Pierre Louis is a filthy, scatological whoremonger. You know, sort of. We can say that, you know. But I've got a great deal of admiration for him. But I toned it down a little.
Okay.
You know, whereas in the Black Dossier, I mean, that Jack Kerouac pastiche, how cool is that? You know, and yeah, I mean, obviously it's showing off, doing Woodhouse and Shakespeare and Jack Kerouac.
I particularly like the Woodhouse, I must say.
We had a lot of fun doing that. That was great. You know, it's sort of, and you only have to read a little bit of these authors, and it all comes back to you.
Yeah.
You can talk in that voice. You know, but I think that the Kerouac piece in particular was one of the best. Just in terms of its flow and its kind of bebop kind of stylings, you know.
I mean, when it came to Kevin doing the pastiches in the Black Dossier, I mean, how much of a challenge was it for him to?
Well, I thought that Kevin had probably showed himself
It's
to
astonishing.
absolutely as great an advantage as I had, or if not more. I mean, like, he's doing Gilray. He's sort of doing these kind of pastiches of the great 1950s posh British boys comics with the painted, you know, sort of Wrath of the Gods or, you know, Eros the Spartan or things like that, which he'd got all into the Life of Orlando. The 3D work at the end, which must have been a nightmare. I know that my script pages for that, I mean, it was something like 10 pages of type to describe a 2-page spread, which is like 5 pages of type for every page of the comic, you know. And I mean, and there's still an awful lot of things that Kevin put into the background that I haven't even noticed yet. I had somebody asking me the other day, they were saying that they read the Black Dossier, they really liked the reference to Brazil. And I kind of said,
I didn't write one.
what reference to Brazil was that? And it turns out that there's a little strangely designed snub-nosed car on the motorway. And sort of, this is the car that Jonathan Pryce uses to flee when he's on the run from the authorities. But and a dozen other things like that that I haven't even noticed yet. I've spotted most of the things that he's worked.